Anyone who starts a clinical private practice or digital online business can be successful at it. However, there are some traits that I commonly see in social workers who gain long term success as an entrepreneur. By the end of this video, you will know some of the traits that I have come across that long term social work entrepreneurs who are successful have. Because in this video, I am covering 7 common traits of successful social work entrepreneurs. So let's get into it. Hi there, and welcome back to my little piece of YouTube real estate. If you are new here, my name is Michelle, and on this channel, I share tips, tools, strategies, and resources for social workers who are looking to start a clinical private practice or digital online business. If this is something that sounds interesting to you, please be sure to click the like button on this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and be sure to hit the bell icon so you are notified each time I make a new upload. And so today we are going to cover 7 common traits of successful social work entrepreneurs. Now, I like to call these 7 traits, well, they create social workers who are what I like to call drivers. And so these are social workers who are going to get to the bag no matter the obstacle or barrier they face, no matter the failure, no matter what they have to do to get to the bag, to get to having more time, financial, and career freedom. These people really embody those traits that you need to make that happen. And so we are going to cover those 7 traits right now that create the acronym DRIVER. So the first trait begins with the letter D, and the D in DRIVER stands for decisive. As an entrepreneur, you must be able to make quick decisions because sometimes you are going to have to make decisions on the fly. While I like to put a lot of thought into some of my decisions, at least sometimes I like to put a lot of thought. I'm an Aries, y'all. I kind of fly by the seat of my pants, but I am getting better at putting more thought into the decisions that I'm making. But sometimes as an entrepreneur, there is not going to be time for thought. You are going to have to make a quick decision, and sometimes you're going to have to pivot, and that also requires you to think quickly and make very quick decisions. And so what I see in long-term successful social work entrepreneurs is that they are decisive, which is first on the list, and it's D in driver. The second trait that I see, the R, is for resilient. When you're in business, you must be able to bounce back quickly after something knocks you down. And trust me, in business, something is going to knock you down. I mean, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. I've said it so many times, it's not for everybody, but if it is for you, then know that there are going to be things that pop up on your entrepreneurial journey that are going to knock you on your ass. It just is what it is. It's the nature of the role, right? And so in order to be successful in the long term, you must be resilient. And so that is the second common trait that I see in successful social work entrepreneurs. The third trait that I see in successful social work entrepreneurs that I commonly see, and the I in driver, stands for introspective. So as an entrepreneur, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. Now, hopefully you find a mentor and you can take programs and engage in masterminds or different activities that help mitigate some of these mistakes, but it is inevitable that as an entrepreneur, you are going to make some mistakes. As a new entrepreneur, definitely. But even when you're 20 years in, 20 years deep, you are going to make some mistakes. It just, again, is the nature of any role, right? Just the nature of being a human, the human condition, right? And so you need to be able to be introspective so you can take a look and see how maybe you contributed to those mistakes. Or is it something you're doing or not doing that contributed to those mistakes? So for example, if you are trying to start a business and you're not sure what to do, where to start, the next move to make, if you're not plugging into, whether it be me or anybody else out here that educates people on how to do this process. If you're not plugging in and if you're not spending money with them to really get the answer, and again, this is anybody, any consultant you hire, anybody that you want to tap into their expertise so you can move faster, mitigate some of those mistakes, and do all the things, you have to be able to be introspective enough that maybe if you're not paying for these services or if you're not engaging in these services, you may be part of the reason why something didn't work. And so it's important to take a deep look at yourself. What is it that you need to do? What area do you need to grow in? And so this is going to be throughout the life of your entrepreneurial journey, because you should always be growing as an entrepreneur. Sometimes growing means doing more things, and sometimes growing is doing less things in your business, right? And so it's really that fine line on knowing where you stand and the things that you need to work on as far as self in order to take you to that next level as an entrepreneur. And so to do that, you have to be completely introspective and you have to take time for that activity. And so I stands for introspective in Driver, and it is definitely on the list, third on the list, for one of the traits that I see commonly in successful social work entrepreneurs. The fourth trait that I commonly see in successful social work entrepreneurs, and it is the V in Driver's acronym, stands for visionary. And so visionary social workers regularly think outside of the box. They're always watching trends or looking for gaps in areas where people are not being served so they can create programs and services that can help them. So it's definitely going to be important to be the visionary of your business. As the visionary, you should take time to engage in such activities. This is why it's important that as your business grows, as you're getting more clients, that at some point you have to hire someone to help you, whether it's a virtual assistant if you have a digital online business, or maybe it's someone in your clinical private practice that can help you. Again, this could still be a virtual assistant. And so you'll want to think about those things as you think about being the visionary of your business, because if you're in your business doing all the things, you don't have time to be the visionary. And this is why it's important to move from that, solopreneur type of setup to the CEO of your business by hiring someone who can assist you. And so V for visionary is the fourth trait that I commonly see in successful social work entrepreneurs. Now, if you have any questions about this video or any other video on my channel, I am hosting meet and greets where you can ask me your questions directly. And so you can find a link to sign up for the meet and greet in the description box below. And I look forward to seeing you there. Okay, and so the fifth trait, number 5 in the acronym Drivers, it is the E, and it stands for enterprising. So to be enterprising is to be resourceful, which is something you're going to need a lot of as an entrepreneur. So sometimes as an entrepreneur, we need to get really scrappy about how we do things so we can get problem solved and get things done in our business. And when you're first starting out, a lot of times you may not have all the things that you need. So for example, if you want to create a digital online business, one of the things that typically goes hand in hand with doing that is starting a YouTube channel, right? So you can teach people and show your skills, knowledge, talents, and areas of expertise, right? You want to highlight those things. And so you show up here on YouTube and you provide value to people, right? People get value from these videos, even if it's just a little snippet of value. And what that does is allows you the opportunity to sell your services and products, right from YouTube. But sometimes you're not going to have all the tools you need to make a YouTube video happen. And so you got to get scrappy. Grab that phone, grab whatever. I do mine on my webcam and I clean up the color and post edit. But you guys will notice that when I do the live, the color really sucks. But that is until I invest in a camera, for which I am researching now what camera I want. I think I have an idea, but damn it, they don't have it in stock. And it's been out of stock for weeks. So I'm just hanging out, waiting around to see if this thing comes in. But again, you have to be enterprising. You have to be enterprising because you have to figure out how to make things work in your business. There are not always going to be resources to make that happen, especially when you're first starting out. And so you don't give up on the dream. You just become scrappy about how you get it done. And so that is number 5. The E in drivers stands for enterprising. And it is also one of the common traits that I see in successful social work entrepreneurs. And so the 6th trait that I commonly see in successful social work entrepreneurs is reliability. And so they are reliable. So basically, say what you mean what you say. And like I like to tell people, under promise and over deliver. And so you should be consistent in your business. You can't, a lot of people get into business because they think, I want financial, time, and career freedom. And what they think time freedom means is that they do work when they get ready. Well, guess what? Entrepreneurship is just like going to work for someone else. There are going to be days that you don't feel like doing it. Now, as the entrepreneur, yes, can you take time off? Absolutely. But your entrepreneurial schedule should not be all willy-nilly. It should not be when I wake up, when I get to it, when I feel like getting to it. You should have some structure in your business. And so, for example, I still work a 9 to 5, right? I have structure in my business though, because I know my hours either start, my business hours, I conduct things before my 9 to 5 and I conduct things after my 9 to 5, right? And so that is my structure, whether I'm seeing clients or whether I'm creating content or graphics or doing whatever or researching, hiring a VA because I need one. But all of those things are scheduled on my calendar. And I always do my priority 3. And so priority 3 is really the 3 things that you have to get done that day that leads to your larger goal at the end of the week, which leads to your larger goal at the end of the quarter, which leads to your larger goal at the end of the year, right? And so you have to get through this process in order to really have some forward momentum in your business. And being consistent is one of the first things that you have to do, and consistency equals reliability. And so that is the 6th common trait that I see in successful social work entrepreneurs, and that R in the driver is reliability. And then lastly, the 7th trait that I commonly see in successful social work entrepreneurs is that they are self-assured. So I always like to say it is better to be self-assured than reassured, because when you're self-assured, you make decisions from a place knowing that wrong or right, you are all good, right? You trust in yourself, you know your abilities, you know your talents, you know your skills, you know your knowledge, right? You know your areas of expertise, and you're not afraid to show up and share it with the world because you are self-assured. And so being self-assured is going to be super important as an entrepreneur, because you are going to have, especially as you gain some success and start making money and doing things like that, where you get to that next level and people start to see the breakthrough in your business, you're going to have a lot of people in your ear. You're going to have a lot of people who have a say. And so you're going to need to be very self-assured so you know that you can stand in your decisions. Like I said, whether they are wrong or right, whether or not they lead to success or a failure at something, right? And just because you fail at something does not mean you have to be a failure in business. Failures oftentimes are redirecting us, right? Redirecting us to something different. And what you need to know is that all the failure shows you is what is not going to work for you, which is great because it gets you closer to the thing that is going to work. And so it is very important. It is very important as a social work entrepreneur for you to be self-assured. And it is the 7th trait that I commonly see in successful social work entrepreneurs, and it is the S in drivers. So do you possess some of these traits, or will you need to work on honing some of these traits? Let me know in the comments, because of course I'm curious to know. And there you have it, 7 traits that I commonly see in successful social work entrepreneurs. Now, if you found this video valuable, please be sure to share it with a friend. Click the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and be sure to hit the bell icon so you are notified each time I upload a new video. On the next Masterclass Monday, I am going to talk about how to protect your neck as a social work independent contractor. So until next time, this is your girl Michelle saying, stop waiting. The time is now. Start your clinical private practice or digital online business. Bye for now.